all my fantasy football friends out there. Welcome in, welcome y'all to the MFDF Multiple First Dynasty Football channel here on YouTube. This is Stoshx coming at you with our Week 9 installment for the fantasy football season. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for spending your time with us here. Today, we're going to be hitting you with a little bit new format. Instead of going through every single game individually, that was a little cumbersome. We're going to be hitting you with a more focused start sits from Greg and I. We're going to be hitting all the individual positions and doing a little more start sit. We're going to be talking about some primary sits as well. We're still going to give you our buys and sells, but we're going to try to give you a more condensed quality content today. We'll be checking in on our league of record and our show league here a little later on, so stick around for that. But as always, I'm joined by my friend, my buddy, my partner, Greg the Philosiraptor. What's going on, dude?
Hey, week 9. It's getting to be time to shit or get off the pot, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is that time of year. It is that time of year in our dynasty leagues. Are we buying? Are we selling? Are we rebuilding? Reloading? This is if you don't love this time of year, you don't love dynasty.
Yo, this is the time, man. This is where you got to make a lot of decisions. In most leagues, you're like 7-7 is will get you into the playoffs. So, most people aren't going to have 7 losses at this point unless it's been really bad. But so you're probably at least mathematically still in it. There's no pressure to sell, but yeah, you got to be taking a hard look and be thinking about your trade deadlines are coming up within a couple weeks here. And but let's get into it, man. We're gonna get into our buys and sells here this week. We like to buy high and sell low on our channel, so we like to talk about guys who are trending up that we're gonna jump in on the ride, and dudes who are selling that we're gonna continue to flush here on the channel. So actionable content coming for you. I'm gonna kick us off here today. I want to start off with my buy high is a follow-up from my Gabe Davis of last week. I'm going to go with another receiver for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to take Mr. Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir is a second-year receiver, drafted in the 5th round out of Boise State. I like his size at the 6'1", 190. I can't say I've watched a ton of film on this player. I'm not trying to lie to you guys, but he passed the eye test for me for the last couple weeks, and he seems to have established himself as the 3rd receiver in this offense. Probably the 4th pass catching weapon, but he is super cheap. He has risen from wide receiver 85 up to currently about wide receiver 65 on a keep trade cut. According to the market read, he could be had for about a 3rd round pick, and I'm interested in that. Whether I'm a contender or a rebuilder, I'm interested in Shakir at that price because I think he's just worth the roster spot, worth the stash. We've seen the Buffalo Bills put 3 relevant fantasy wide receivers out there. Josh Allen can't support that. He's put that on the record. Shakir, if he can establish himself in earning the targets, could be a relevant fantasy weapon, especially in our 10 and 12 start leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got there's a chance that you're in a bad way and need a start this week, and although I don't love or even in the next couple of weeks, he's got a chance to be a bye week replacement kind of guy. I think right now as the 4th option, but he's got a lot of outs to move up in that rotation. Like he's got 3 guys ahead of him who could get hurt. He could play his way past somebody, right? If Gabe Davis hit a long slump. And there's also the possibility that Gabe Davis moves on at the end of this year. So there are a lot of possibilities for him to provide value above being a bye week fill-in. And I think the price is small and there's upside. I liked the profile coming out. It wouldn't have shocked me to see him go at the end of round 3. In the draft last year, he went at the top of round 5, but he went to a good situation. And we've seen guys from this profile, like Gabe Davis, different kind of wide receiver, but similar draft capital. And they were willing to let him develop and roll with him. So it wouldn't be absolutely stunning to see that for Shakir. If you can use the starts, I'm kind of interested at the price of a 3rd round pick. If you are rebuilding, he's like the throw in on top of a pick that you are asking for, when you're selling your older players. I like this call, Tony.
Thank you. Yeah. Who are you buying today, sir?
I am buying One of my Denver Broncos, actually. I'm
Hmm.
buying Cortland Sutton.
Ooh.
He is currently wide receiver 52, up from wide receiver 64 in the preseason
Ooh.
and wide receiver 61 on September 21st. So, like, you see, he hasn't risen that much, but he's definitely on the rise. But Sutton is wide receiver 31 in points per game so far this year. He's been a higher end wide receiver 3, and you're paying, uh, wide receiver 5 prices for him right now. So he's 28, which is not super young, but he really looks like he's passed the eye test. He's the wide receiver 1 on the team. Um, you know, there is a chance that Sean Payton puts together a very explosive offense at some point. Sutton has some Michael Thomas qualities, and he is clearly the target leader in the route progression. I think Jerry Jeudy is trading as the wide receiver 44. Could you give up
Yeah.
Jeudy and a third to get Sutton in a second and get better now and get some draft capital? Like, that's
Yeah. I think you can do that. Yeah. Yeah.
those
Yeah.
right. Like, I don't so I think Sutton is a buy. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 for the next few seasons, I think.
I love it. So Sutton's a guy I have a lot of. He was someone who I loved in the teens round area the last couple of years of drafts. Super interesting. What could have been with the talent he came into the league with a lot of injuries. It kind
Hmm.
of slowed this guy down, but we love to see him finally get on track. I hope these touchdowns continue for him. You always have that outlier guy every year, that outlier vet who scores a bunch of TDs, and it looks like that's Cortland Sutton right now.
I want to say one other thing. Like, there's a lot of hidden yards with him. He's I think second in the NFL in pass interference drawn, which,
Oh,
like,
really? Yeah.
it tells you something about, like, the air yards and the deep targets that there could be some more yardage in him if he gets some variance. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and we know Russell trusts him, right? Because I know he leaned
Right.
on Cortland Sutton heavily last year. Yeah, so let's get into some sells. We're gonna be kicking some guys while they're down here. That's what we like to do. I'm gonna keep us at the wide receiver position for the third straight time. I'm gonna be having my sell low right now is Christian Watson, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. So this is kind of crazy because I like this guy a lot. I was banging the drum for him pretty heavily, a little over a year ago. Watson has been derailed twice by injuries over the last 2 years. I thought he was pretty overvalued entering the season based on his high touchdown percentage and ending 22, but Christian Watson has just he's struggled along with Jordan Love. He just the volume's not there. The touchdowns haven't been there. According to the market reading that I've been doing, I think you can have Watson. I think you could sell Watson for at least a late first, which is probably what you paid to enter, and I would just be willing to re-roll that at this point. I'm selling Christian Watson over the last 3 games he's played. He's got 20 targets for 9 receptions and 150 yards, and that's just not enough.
Yeah. No, I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can feel that. Yeah. Um, where's he at on keep cut right now?
Where is he at? Sorry, he's wide receiver 33 right now, and that's down from wide receiver 23. So he's in that wide receiver 3 territory. And like, there's other guys I like more in that space, like a Cortland Sutton who you just brought up. I mean,
You get a lot with Sutton, so you can
yeah,
go across to Sutton, get the same production or more for a couple of years, and by a couple of years from now, Watson could be out of the league anyway. And you get like a second round pick on top of it.
yes, exactly that. I mean, that's beautiful. So you can recapture some of that youth with a pick, and maybe even have, in a trade like that where you would trade Watson for Sutton in a second, like that's a real dynasty trade that any league may make right now. That second very easily could be the best asset in that deal long term, long term on like a 7-8 year scale. So it's yeah, tearing down from Watson seems like a very smart idea right now, or unloading him if possible.
Would you be interested in trying to go across to Jahan Dotson in that same range?
Yeah, absolutely, I would. That would be really cool. And then they were drafted here, right? So I'm not even sure how they trade against each other. I would imagine Watson's probably worth a little more right now
But
because he
you're
started
right.
higher. Yeah, so yeah, you could.
anyway.
Yeah, if you could tear down from Watson into Dotson, I'd be considering that for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got a sell as well, as we always do. I'm selling Rams running back Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is down to running back 18 from a high of running back 15. And I'm just looking at that and thinking that price hasn't fallen enough from when he was winning you weeks. There are too many ways for this to go all the way bad. Now, listen, he was the running back 5, and he is the running back 5 in points per game this year, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. But if you can get mid running back 2 prices for Kyren Williams, right? Think about all the ways this could go bad. His injury could be slow coming back, right? Stafford might, all of a sudden he's not back for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then he's on injured reserve, then he doesn't play again. That could happen, right? Cooper Kupp could get hurt again, and the offense could trickle. He could come back, and Darrell Henderson or Myles Gaskin could have earned more role. Or, like, that was just a very small sample size. Maybe he comes back, still gets the lead role, and he's just, like, way not as good when he comes back. Like, all of those things could happen.
Yes, yep. I agree with you. I love that as a sell. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I just go get you go rent something else, right? At these prices, because people are in love with young running backs. Like for running back 18 prices, how much do you have to add on top to go get like Josh Jacobs? And I know Josh Jacobs hasn't put up the same number of points.
So much more safety though with Jacobs, at least this season. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, long term too, probably. Yeah, Kyron's a guy who could. He's got that James Robinson vibe to him, to me, where he's just burst out of nowhere from no capital, has been tremendous, and now he's hurt, and it's just like, I think you sell because it's really high. I love that. I don't think there's any real security here whatsoever for him. A Stafford injury could derail this offense moving forward potentially. Yeah, and someone like Henderson or Freeman, after all of this uncertainty the last few weeks, even when a healthy Williams comes back, could cause a mess in this backfield where you could sell at a price where that's not baked into it.
Yeah, absolutely. What if he comes back in 2 weeks and we discover that Myles Gaskin is getting all the third down work?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
like running back 18 is gone immediately. You know what I mean? Like,
what do I need to give with Kyren Williams, or maybe vice versa, to trade for David Montgomery? Like, that's something I would love to do,
right? Yeah. So like,
mm-hmm.
You could you'd have to look at the win now needs. I think you probably don't have to give up much.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably priced very similarly on keep trade cut. Like if David Montgomery's on a non-contending team, they might go straight across.
Yeah, and that'd be pretty interesting. And I think that makes your contending team better to pivot off of Williams into Monty in the long run.
Right, which is weird to me. Like that, like Monty is older than Kyren Williams, but like I have more faith that David Montgomery will be a running back in this league in 4 years than I do for Kyren Williams.
Same.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think people get too obsessed with age with these running backs. Like they go away when they're 26 if they're not good, right? But like if you can find one that stays around to Latavius Murray ages, it's worth a lot. All right. Let's do some starts of the week, Tony.
Love it. Yeah, we going through all 5 positions, man. We're going to go through all 4 positions, excuse me. We're going to take a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, who we starting this week, our must-start type players for, start 10, start 12, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So who you got a quarterback?
Yo, my quarterback start of the week this week is a guy you need to be putting out there, and you probably have a decision to make about him. You probably have a better QB2 that you've looked at. But I am starting my man, the myth, the mustache, Gardner Minshew. Should be started this week. I really like Gardner Minshew. I keep seeing trades happen in all my leagues for teams that need QBs that they're not trading for Gardner Minshew, and that seems absurd to me. Okay, so Gardner Minshew. Is playing in this game against the Panthers. It has a 44-point over-under, which isn't that exciting, but it is the 3rd highest of the week. Carolina is bad against the run. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Indy's going to be able to establish this against them, and any quarterback worth his salt will be able to perform well with an established running game. Indy's favored by 2.5 points. It's 70 degrees and sunny. Just play Gardner Minshew. I'm playing Minshew. One more point. Over the last 3 games, he has got 70 completions for 850 yards and 7 touchdowns. I love that. I wrote it down here. He's a quarterback 8, I think, over the last 3 weeks. He's been awesome. But yeah, that's it. Sark. He's always been throwing the ball almost 40 times a game in that span. That's all I wanted to get at. But start Gardner Minshew, please.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good pick. When I was looking at these, what I first thought was Gardner Minshew, and then I saw that you had already taken him.
Yeah.
And I pivoted off of that to the other side of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at Bryce Young. Again, listen, we're talking about a 12-team Superflex league, right? So, there's 10, 12 guys, 12, 14 guys who are starting pretty much every week, right? This is guys below that tier who, hey, you might want to look at these as high-quality starts this week. I think this game has a decent chance to be a shootout because Indy scores some points, and their defense is bad.
Yes.
And they've gotten in a lot of shootouts. The total fantasy points by both teams, I believe Indy is second in the league in total fantasy points scored by both teams in their games, behind Miami, who's put up some, redonkulous games, right? So, I'm pretty into, but all the pieces of this game as, back end of your starting lineup starters who you can have some confidence in.
So you're playing Bryce Young over like a Derek Carr, a Mac Jones, any of these QB2 types, any of these rookies that are getting starts like Jaron Hall and Tyson Bagent. We're starting our 2 dudes over all them easily. But
I think
even
so.
Some established starters. We're gonna play
I think that's probably right. I think that's probably right. Yeah, I mean, there's, I'm not playing Daniel Jones his first week back.
Yeah.
Over either of these guys, right? So there are some spots where, or if you have a bye week, you feel good about these. So that's where I'm at with these.
All right, running back position. My start of the week for Stosh X this week is going to be Darrell Henderson, running back for the LA Rams. So Green Bay is one of the bottom 5 or 6 defenses in the league against the run. I love that. Henderson has been activated and then reverted each of the last 2 weeks in a row. It's been a crazy roller coaster for him. But he ran, I think, 33 routes last week. He ran a nice chunk of routes. He's getting a few targets. The guy can play. He passes the eye test. He's had success in this offense in the past. I have him as a mid-range RB2 this week, and you probably are playing him in most of your leagues, but I'm telling you to get him out there. Darrell Henderson has a great chance of scoring. Especially if Stafford can't push the ball down the field. He's going to be involved for sure.
Absolutely. He was a guy I seriously considered. I didn't like him quite as much as my name, which is Keontae Ingram of the Arizona Cardinals. Look, Amari DiMarcado was out, and I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're just going to give him 22, 24 touches.
Totally. He's a smash play, Ingram is. I love it.
It's been weird, and I guess Damian Williams is over there, right? But I kind of like the talent behind Ingram. So there's some chance to me that he could earn more role going forward.
He's got a little juice to him. And one of my notes here was I'm playing Henderson over guys like Gus Edwards, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Kareem Hunt. I'm playing Darrell Henderson above all those guys. And I imagine you're probably the same on Ingram. You'd play him above most of those dudes as well, yeah?
Yeah, I would this week. He's the one who has the best chance of having that pre-injury Kyren Williams volume. Right, he could get 100% running back rush share this week, and so that's in the cards potentially.
And Connor's coming back eventually here, so Ingram's got an opportunity here it's in his best interest to push. The matchup sucks, but I love starting Ingram anyway. There's going to be some serious volume.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver starts this week. I'm here to tell you on my YouTube channel, or ours, that you can start Jahan Dotson confidently this week. I know you've been hurt in the past. I know it's sad, but Jahan Dotson over the last 2 weeks has been 18 targets, 13 receptions, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Okay, so he's gotten his stuff back together. not him personally. I think he's still been balling out, but the team has made more of a focus of getting him the football. Sam Howell is throwing the ball 40 times a game. This has a 41-point over/under. New England is one of the worst teams in the league at rushing the passer. They're bottom 5 in terms of pass rush success rate. So I like Howell to be able to stand there and deliver the ball to his receivers in this game. I think Jahan Dotson should eat. I am starting Jahan Dotson over Jacoby Myers, over Rashee Rice, and over Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like Dotson as a 3.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I'm starting all my Dotson as well. I think he was my runner-up for this spot too. You and I are like really on the same page. I just couldn't stay away from my pick, which is Patriots rookie wide receiver Demario Douglas.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm starting Dotson over Douglas. I just want to be clear, but I think Dotson is kind of higher up in your pecking order already. What I love about Douglas is like he was a late ad guy, right? He's a guy who
you might have just picked him up. Yep.
Yeah, or he might be on your taxi and you got a decision to make. I made some cuts to get him off my taxi in the league this week, right? So Kendrick Bourne just went on injury. So first of all, let's look at his snap share over the last 2 weeks. His snap share before the bye was under 50%. In fact, it was less than that. It was under 40% every week. His snap share coming out of the bye, 62%, 77%, and then Kendrick Bourne went on season-ending injured reserve. And we've got Devontae Parker missing this week with a concussion, and Juju played 33% of snaps last week. So it's really setting up for Demario Douglas to be the number one potentially for the rest of season, honestly. And I could just see in your full PPR leagues some real week-winning volume at times. It's a depleted passing game, but I'm very excited for Demario Douglas going forward.
Yeah, there's a good chance this guy has the most juice of any of their pass catchers. I mean, there's a high probability of that from this point. So I really like that for him. They'll get him the ball. I mean, the Patriots can use their slots and they'll lean on him. So yeah, I like that a lot. All right, tight end position. So my tight end start of the week this week, and this is probably a guy you gotta sit your starter because you gotta play him. But I'm here to tell you should. I'm starting Green Bay Packers tight end Luke Musgrave. Musgrave was limited in practice this week, so he's got to play. But I'm not too concerned about the injury. I think he's going to be just fine. So the LA Rams are the opponent, and this is really just a matchup play. I do like Musgrave a lot and the talent. He runs a lot of routes, but the Rams are like almost dead last against the tight end. I think they are dead last against the tight end in the league, and they're also top 10 against running back and wide receiver. So it's hard to imagine this ball not getting funneled into Luke Musgrave. They're at home. I think he's a coin flip to score a touchdown. I'm telling you should probably play Musgrave over your current starter. I would play him over guys like Michael Mayer, over Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki. I have Musgrave one tick behind Ferguson, so he's like my favorite after all the must-start guys right now.
I like Luke Musgrave this week a lot. Yeah.
Who's your tight end? Who are you running with?
So I'm really, really reaching out into some dumpster diving stuff here. I think you can stream Daniel Bellinger this week if you're in bye week hell.
Yeah.
If you're in bye week hell, I think he's a great Darren Waller is out. Daniel Jones is coming back. I expect Aiden O'Connell and interim head coach and they fired the head coach and the offensive coordinator, right? Like he was running the offense, right? So the Raiders are going to have a whole new offensive thing. I think that the Giants offense might be on the field all day, in some good spots. And so if you're in a deep format and it's a tight end premium and you need a flex, I think and it has to come off waiver wires. Bellinger's a guy who might be there, who I think you can play this week, and so I like giving you those. I think they can be pretty useful.
Bro,
All right.
I love it, man. I love Bellinger. I'm glad you picked him. I really did look at him pretty closely. So now we're going to hit on sits of the week. We're not going to do one at every position. We're going to hit on just a focused sit that is just a must-sit player. I want you to go first. Who are you sitting, man? What you
Man,
sit?
I am sitting Taysom Hill.
Sit Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Taysom Hill was in a really nice position coming out of the last 2 weeks, and we had this unknown with Juwan Johnson coming back. You might have started him, you might not have, but then you see the fantasy points and you go, oh, he's. I guess you start him even when Juwan Johnson's back, but he didn't run enough routes. He was not involved in the passing game again, so he's back to just being Taysom Hill, right? Like touchdown or bust, right? So you may have to start him in some formats, right? But you try to sit him just like you always try to sit Taysom Hill, but you can start him if you have to, right? Any uptick you might have thought, you get away from this week. He's just like this. No, he did not run enough routes. He was not involved as a tight end. He was involved only in the quarterback end of things most of the time. And go back to your other tight ends.
Yeah, don't cut him. Just put Taysom Hill on your bench this week, guys. Grab Bellinger off the wire, or do what you can. But don't play Taysom Hill. Save yourself some punishment. All right, man. That's our weekly review. Hopefully that gave some clarity.
Who's your sit of the week?
Oh, duh. My bad. I'm so sorry. My sit of the week is a guy I've kind of liked, and you've given me a lot of harassment for it. But don't play this player this week, okay? And his name is Alexander Mattison for the Minnesota Vikings. You may have to, I suppose, but Madison is going to have a very rough time against the league's #1 rush defense in Atlanta. Jaren Hall, right? That's the kid's name who's starting? Yeah, Jaren Hall starting a quarterback. That is bad bombing for the whole offense. I mean, they're going to be able to stack the box and just destroy Madison. And even before this happened, even when Cousins was tearing it up, for the last 4 weeks of football, Madison has had 50 attempts for 140 yards and only 1 receiving touchdown in that span. So you can do the math there. It's under 3 yards a carry. He's got Cam Akers breathing down his neck. He's got a rookie quarterback who's a late-round pick. He's got no Justin Jefferson. It's the best rushing defense in the league, and it's a 37-point over-under. Just sit Madison. I do what you have to.
Yeah, I agree. I get away from him if you can get away from him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So let's see. A quick review of our 24/7 leagues and teams. 24/7 league of record. I just want to mention that I am 7-1, first in points, first in max possible points, and sitting in the #1 seed currently. So
yeah, just run by that real quick. Yeah.
It's been a good start to me. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to put it out there. I like my team. 24/7 team of record. We made a trade. Why don't you throw that up for us, Tony?
Yeah, let me put that up here. So we made a trade in this league. We have a pretty wide receiver heavy team, and we were the reigning champs from last year, and we made this deal right here recently. You see that on the screen? Yeah, we're good. All right, so the trade for our listeners at home is with our running back needy team, we send away 2 24 second-round picks, our own, and then another contending team's. Our own 24 third, so 2 seconds and a third, plus Jahan Dotson in exchange for David Montgomery, Isaiah Pacheco, and Brandon Cooks. I really like this deal for us. We talked with the owner multiple times. I like how we add 2 running backs in this deal as opposed to 1. The quick and easy breakdown of this deal for me is we trade a second for Pacheco. That's awesome for us. We trade a second for Monty. That's awesome for us. And the tax we have to pay for doing that is giving up a third outright and downgrading from Dotson to Brandon Cooks, who, in my opinion, may at least score the similar points remainder of season. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a bad time to give up on Dotson, but
yeah, it really was.
I thought the price was really nice, and
we made this deal 2 weeks ago, but we didn't get a chance to feature it. Yeah,
we need Pacheco. We needed the running back help, and that is running back help that I really like.
Let's put the team up on the screen for our users there at home. So this is what we have. I mean, we were starting Bijan and Algier before we added Pacheco. We have good wide receiver depth. I mean, we're starting Schultz, but we have LaPorta. Um, great quarterbacks with Pickett, Allen. Well, not Pickett, but Allen and Lawrence specifically. It's a good-looking team. We still have another second. We had 3 total, so we have space to give. I really I like that deal for us. I think that helps us contend. Quick league overview: we were in 7th or 8th place when we made that deal. Yeah, and we're still in 8th, but we're gonna need these points moving forward, I think.
Yeah, I'm all the way in on I'm all the way in on trying to pivot into contention. We have a title
rough
winning
matchup. Yeah.
We have a potentially title winning roster here. I mean, I think Justin Fields is going to come back and give us some big fantasy points late in the year. And we just have to sit on this. And, like we just had to get ourselves some running back help. So I was pretty pleased to do it.
We don't have Fields anymore. We traded him away, but I hope Lawrence steps it up because he's been kind of down. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining us, y'all. We appreciate it. We keep things short and sweet today. We had about 30 minutes. I love that. Let us know what you think of the new format if you like that a little more. If there's any content you're hoping to see moving forward, like, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know if you put one of our starters in because you heard this. I'd be interested to see that. But thank you for spending time with us. It is at Dynasty DGen, correct?
At FF Dynasty DGen.
FF Dynasty DGen, that's the Twitter handle. StoshX on Sleeper, Philosiraptor on Sleeper. Good luck this Saturday, y'all. Have a great week 9. Take it easy.